the Alexander RDA from Kaees. Let's have a look. Hey guys, Vick here, back with another review. Today we are looking at this, the Alexander RDA from Kaees. A very interesting RDA, 24mm wide, dual or single coil. It's got a very unique deck on this. I think they're calling it a lotus flower shaped deck. Either way, it's a postless drop-in deck. It's got very unique airflow as well. The airflow goes in through the side but then daggers down inside. It's a sort of a two-stage airflow hole system, which I will show you down low. Very adjustable as well. Squonky and non-squonky, and 810 tips on top. I've seen this in a range of colours. I think there's 4 colours available: black, stainless, blue and matte grey colour, I think, as well. Affordable, as you know, well made, as you know, from Kaees as well. Let's slide down low so you can have a little look at this, and we'll come back up top for pros and cons. See you in a sec. Alright guys, here we are down low with the Alexander RDA from Kaees. This is the packaging, this is the box. Pretty standard, pretty cool though, no issues there at all. Let's try and get into this box. That's how you do that. And here we are inside. So you get your RDA. You get your little booklet, your little pamphlet, and then you get your spares, you get some coils, you get your squonk pin, some O-rings, little screwdriver, all that good stuff. So happy days there. That is what you get in the packaging. And this is the RDA, the Alexander RDA. Big old goon tip, 810 tip. Other tips are fitting in here, no problem. My black one came with a red tip. My stainless steel one came with sort of a gold and black tip. So depends what colour you get as to what tip you get, but no major issues with that. Looking down here, we've got the knurling for the airflow adjustment. You've got your air holes here, and you've got the Kaees logo on the side. Underneath you've got Alexander RDA, Kaees, and a nice protruding 510 pin. So no complaints there at all. If we use this lovely knurling to get a hold of the inside, you can see what is going on with the airflow here. So what you've got is your adjustability of the airflow is here, so you can have it stepped. So that big hole there is fully open. This is one row closed. That is it all closed. So you can completely choose how you have your airflow. You can have it one strip, 2 strips, or half, or just one little strip. So you can have it how you like. We'll talk about the airflow more up top. The other thing to notice, of course, is it's going in here, but it's actually going into this barrel of air and then pointing down. It's sort of daggering down. So interesting way of doing it. So yeah, so it goes in to the air hole, but then into this barrel section here, which angles it downward at the coil. An interesting way of doing it. It creates 2 layers. For me, it makes it slightly more turbulent, slightly more noisy, but it's definitely effective and it does work. And the one thing it probably will do is reduce spit back a bit as well. So not a bad thing at all, just different, not bad. Interesting way of doing it indeed. You can see it on the inside there. So that's the barrel section. This is the deck. They're calling it a lotus flower-esque deck. Basically it's a postless deck. You put your coils down, drop your coils into here. I'm finding 4mm leads seems to be about the right height. Drop them in there. You've got your Allen keys here. Tighten them up, and then obviously your wicking just drapes down here. Your coil sits this way like that, and then your cotton just goes into these big holes. So fair play. Don't forget you can squonk with this as well. If you do squonk with it, you'll find that the juice comes up here and it sits around this area here and doesn't super keen to fall into these holes. It's not super keen to go into there. So it's not the perfect squonking RDA in terms of the way it feeds the deck, but it certainly does squonk and you can use it as a squonker. Here is one I made earlier. This is my stainless steel one that I've been using a lot. As you can see, got my coils in there. Wicking is just sort of almost dead rabbit-esque. You know, this seems to be a way now that a lot of them are doing. Coils up high, cotton draping down, seems to be a thing now. If I try and show you the squonking thing, so when you squonk it, can you see the juice rattling around the middle and it going straight back down? That's what it does. It doesn't want to fall into these juice wells so much, but it's fine. I'm not making a big deal of it at all, don't get me wrong. But as you can see, 2 coils sat on top, and then your cotton draping down. You've got your latches on your deck here, this little latch here, and that's what stops it spinning, so you have to line that up like that, and then the top cap is back on. You've got your adjustable airflow, like I said. This is how I like it, the whole bottom row but not the top row, but you can adjust it. That's it fully open, that's 3, that's the 2, and then you can have it as 1 as well. As you start moving that round though, and you start going to 1, the direction slightly goes off from the coils. Do bear that in mind, it's slightly slanted, but other than that it's pretty solid. So that is the stainless steel one, already built up, the Alexander RDA. Let's go up top. Okay guys, that was the Alexander RDA down low from Kaees. A really interesting RDA. It's another one of these RDAs that's all about that higher up coil placement. As I said down low, it's a postless deck, and it looks like the perfect ideal sort of lead length is about 4mm leads. So if you've got a coily tool or any kind of tool like that, about 4mm is the length of your legs in order to line it up with that daggering airflow. It's a pretty good deck. It's not mind-blowingly unusual or weird or difficult to build on. No real issues there. Because it's postless, there's a lot of room in that chamber, there's a lot of room in that deck, so you can put your big beefy builds in there as well. Because of the nature of the deck, you can also do a big chunky single coil in there if you wanted as well, but you would really have to turn the airflow down to make it suit a single coil vape. I think it really is aimed at high wattage vaping. You know, I think this RDA comes into its own. 60, 70, 80, 90 watts is where it seems to come into its own. There's so much airflow, there's so much space in there, and I think that's where it begins to fly. In terms of negatives, I have a few kind of negatives really. The first one being, if you're a lower wattage vapor, if you're a low wattage dripper or squonker, I guess it's not for you. You know, we're talking plus 50 minimum watts on here, ideally 70, 80 watts for a perfect vape. So yeah, if you're sub 50, sub 60 watts, maybe this isn't for you. It's dual coil. You can put a single coil in, but it's very much a dual coil RDA. So again, depends how you vape. If you like your dual coils, cool, but this isn't aimed at a single coil vapor really, so bear that in mind as well. The airflow, 2 things about the airflow. One, I think it makes for a not super smooth vape. It's not super quiet, and it doesn't feel super smooth with it doing things with the air doing things as it's going in. So I don't think it's like a super smooth vape. The other thing is, if you close it down to 1 row of holes, if you spin it around to 1 row of holes, you will be slightly offset with your airflow, so that it won't be bang in line with where your coils will be. Not that that matters too much anyway, because it's going up and down before it goes at the coils anyway. So if you do close one side, then yeah, it won't be super direct airflow. The best way to probably do it is 2 rows along the bottom or two rows along the top. If you start halving it, that's when you'll get into that kind of issue. So it needs a lot of power. It needs a lot of power for it to be a really nice vape. And yeah, the airflow, I'm not super sold on the airflow in general. Smoothness, sound, and the way the adjustment levels mean it's not super directional. All that to one side, it's pretty nice looking, it's pretty sharp looking, it's pretty clever. The build deck is very easy to build and wick, and there's a lot of good things like that. The other final negative, I'll nail at this, and I don't really know why as such, I don't think it's brilliant for squonking. When you squonk with this, the juice doesn't doesn't go on top, so it doesn't juice the very top of the coil, you know, it doesn't flood up and go up high. It kind of just shoots out the sides, and it's very quick to get sucked back in. So although it's got nice deep 6mm juice wells, it doesn't really want to fill those juice wells before it just goes back down again. So I don't think it's a brilliant squonking RDA. I don't think it squonks brilliantly. What I've been doing is pressing the squonk bottle and keeping it pressed to keep the juice in before it pushes it down. The juice just doesn't want to go straight into those wells. It wants to sort of go down the middle. So yeah, I don't think it squonks super brilliant either. So I'll nail that at it. But beyond that, I think it's a very nice vape. I am at 70 watts. At 70 watts, dual coil, big beefy coils like you saw down low. Wicking's a doddle. Coil placement is a doddle. It's easy to build, it's easy to wick, and at 70 watts, it's a pretty tasty vape, I've got to say. Nice vapor production, nice flavour at that high wattage. I like the drip tip, I like the build quality, I like the look overall. No issues with that at all. 24mm wide. It ticks a lot of boxes, but I just don't think it's the best vape I've ever had. Is really where I'm getting with this. I prefer the recurve dual. I prefer the recurve dual. I prefer the Dead Rabbit. I prefer the Goon. So there's a few in the pecking order above this. It's a very competitive marketplace right now. A couple of quirks. Overall, it's a very solid dripper. If you're a big Kaees fan, if you're a big dual coil RDA fan, if you're a dripper, an out and out cloudy mech dripper, then definitely give this RDA a look. But there's just a few quirks on it that mean it's not my favourite RDA ever. The Alexander from Kaees. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Have you got one of these? How are you getting on with it? Like and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.